Hi, it's me again. Um, I was doing better the past 3 days, as in I was feeling a bit better. I came to my senses and my feelings started shifting for him as loving him as an individual and as a person rather than loving him as a lover. But I can't pretend like my heart doesn't, like it's not wide open right now, like his doors aren't wide open reaching out to him wherever he is. Like it's yearning for his heart, and he closed his to me. And I'm trying to get my heart to close. I'm trying to find ways to force the door shut, and it's just not working. It's not working because he's the one person I truly loved. But again, I started trying, and I started loving him with all that I had at the moment, where he stopped loving me and he stopped trying. And I don't know what happened between when he said that he would try and that he would give me another shot. He gave me another shot in writing. He said, I'm going to give you another shot, and then he just took it away and didn't even give me a chance to show him that I was improving. I mean, like, I was sending him messages every single day. I was checking in with him morning, afternoon, night. I was letting him know how my day was going. I was updating him. I was trying to get him to play games with me again, and I was trying to get us to fall asleep together on the phone at night again. And he just wouldn't do it, and I just thought, all right, maybe it was just a thingy. Maybe he's just not ready yet. And then one night he was willing to call, but I got into a really bad argument with my father, and I told him that I didn't want to call anymore because I didn't want him to have to deal with me acting like that, because he didn't deserve to deal with me when I was acting like that, because I didn't want to take out any emotions on him that he didn't deserve, because he didn't deserve them and it wasn't right. But I didn't realize that that was the last time we would have slept together on the phone, and I wish that I would have taken it. I really wish that I would have taken it. I mean, I only dreamed of him twice throughout our whole relationship. And then the day before he breaks up with me, I dream of him 2 times, and then the day of, I dream of him again 2 times, and then there's a day where I don't dream of anything, and then my next dream is of him again. And it just hurts. And so I was I was sharing my location with him. And as you know, he stopped sharing his location with me, even though he was the one that made me get the app in the first place. And I kept sending him my location over and over when he would deny it, because I felt better knowing that he had the option to look at where I was, even if I knew he wasn't going to. And so I guess he unblocked me and said, "Stop sharing your location with me." And I said, "Sorry, but no, I didn't get a choice when you broke up with me or when you blocked me, so you have no choice for say in this matter. Hope you're doing well." And before that, I sent him so many text messages just updating him. I never knew if he got them. I mean, they said delivered, but sometimes people can block you and it'll still say delivered even when it's not, because of privacy settings. And then he responded, "I don't want your location. I've completely moved on and would appreciate it if you would too. I blocked you because you were hurting yourself and I felt like it was my fault, and I think it's best for us to be out of each other's lives." And I admit both of us have had our very stupid flaws and very big things that we should have acknowledged earlier, recognized, and worked on, but we didn't. And so I think this is one of, if not the worst thing he could have done to me, because you saw me hurt myself. You knew I was hurting myself from the pain of you breaking up with me, and you still blocked me, knowing that that could have had the risk to push me over the edge. And I would have never done that to anyone. I wouldn't have cared what they did to me. If I knew that they were hurting themselves over the pain and regret, I would have tried to help them. I wouldn't have pretended to love them again, but I would have tried to help them through it. I would have let them hear my voice, and I would have checked in on them. I would have been nice to them. I wouldn't have been just gone. Because that's devastating. And so I sent back, "I completely understand that. However, I didn't want and never wanted you to block me and break up with me. However, that still happened because I was really upset about the blocking thing, because I know you have no right in a relationship to decide." It's pretty fucked up. And I know that this doesn't make any logical sense, but it hurts how one person can just decide to end the relationship at any time, any day, any second, for no reason or for a good reason. And it takes two people to enter that relationship and both agree on it. I would have been fine with us breaking up. Well, I wouldn't have been fine with it, but I would have accepted it. I would have wanted him to talk it out with me, and I would have wanted him to explain his reasons. I mean, I get the gist of his reasons, but I would have liked to hear it from him again. I would have liked some closure rather than just, "I'm sorry, we're breaking up, goodbye," basically. So I was still pretty upset about that. And then I said, I need you to please listen to me right now and what I say. What I do to myself is and never will be your fault. I chose to do that to myself and in a moment of distress, alright? You had absolutely no say or control over what I did, so please don't feel like it's your fault that happened, because it isn't. It's my burden and lesson to carry. And then I said, I recognize that you think it's best that we have no contact going forwards, and respectfully, I disagree. I genuinely enjoy your company, I admire your character, and I value you as a person. I want us to one day, after having put this all behind us, be comfortable enough to respect each other, that we can perhaps have my kids and your kids play together and grow up together. And I said, I recognize that I'm optimistic, but I believe that it is possible with time. I think we can take a break from interacting with one another, but I think eventually we can come back into contact again and be friends. I'm genuinely glad to hear that you have moved on, and I can only hope you are doing well. I wish you the best that I can in the years and years to come. And I genuinely meant that, and I do genuinely still mean that. I'm happy that he moved on. I'm happy that he feels free. I'm happy that he was able to cut ties with something that wasn't serving him and wasn't treating him right. But I mean, it still hurts, but I'm glad that he could do that. And then I texted him. I said, oh wait, this one's actually a private one. I basically just let him know that if there's ever a time where he's exhausted all other people he can talk to in a moment of distress, that he can talk to me, and that I wouldn't listen as like a hopeful damsel hoping for him to get back with me because I was helping him. But I would listen and will listen as a person that cares for him and wants the best for him. And I would just listen and give him the best advice I can if he wanted it. And just listening is fine too. He wouldn't even need to directly address me or anything. He could have just talked over the phone and then hung up, just needing to say that to somebody, whatever it would have been, and I would have been fine with it, because I need to do that sometimes, and I don't feel comfortable doing that to some people. And he responded, I listened, and now I want you to listen. You have clearly disregarded everything I've been trying to say so nicely, because I hate saying things the harsh way, but I will now. I want, all caps, nothing to do with you. Back to lowercase. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to talk to you, and I sure as shit don't want my kids near yours. You think I'd forgive you for what you did to me? No. I will regret this relationship for the rest of my life, because I've met someone who I should have dated from the start. You can keep thinking to yourself that you have changed and are better, but once a cheater, always a cheater. I know I'll never make the same mistake again. Now do me a favor for once in your life. Get out of my life. And then he sent, goodbye. And then he turned off my sharing the location. And then I said back to him, I can only hope nothing but the best for you. I hope you treat this new lover better than you ever did me. I wish I treated you better than I did. But I'll still always be here. The door's always open should you ever feel inclined to walk through. Closing a chapter of your life doesn't erase it. It just covers it up enough to ignore it, but it'll always be there. And then I just felt a little bit mad that he suggested that I can't and will never improve. And he has some of my property that I bought while I was at his house, $400 worth. And I either want him to ship them to me or pay me back in the amount that they were if he's keeping them, because I bought them. And I still think that that's what should happen, but I know it was basically rude to send that directly after. And that was the last thing I sent to him, and he hasn't responded back. He probably blocked me again, but I don't know. But anyways, The line that I keep repeating in my head is that he will regret this relationship for the rest of his life. But I don't think that's true. Because then he says at the bottom, I'll never make this mistake again. And that implies that he learned shit from our relationship and that he grew while he was in our relationship. So in some ways, the relationship was beneficial for him to help him move forward and realize what not to do again so he could learn from it. So I think it would probably be a love-hate relationship when he looks back at our relationship. But I'll never regret our relationship. I think that at the time we met, we both needed each other to experience a relationship and figure out how we could be as individuals in a relationship. And I think we just met each other at a time where this relationship was primarily for us to just learn how we could function in a relationship with another person. I don't think we were meant to be together at this time. I think if I never sent those pictures to the other people, we would have probably gone all the way and married and had kids and stuff, because I don't see any reason why we wouldn't have. We had all the same interests and all the same shit. But I explained that in the other videos. But I think because of the way it worked out, that this was meant to be a learning experience for both of us rather than a true love situation. I think there were two paths fate had set out for me, and one was true love, happily ever after, with probably some rocky road along the way. And the other was a relationship that wasn't meant to last, but would be a learning experience. And I think I chose the learning experience by sending that picture, and I think that's what fate did. And I'm grateful for our relationship, and I'm grateful for the things that it taught me, and I'm grateful for him as a human being. And I recognize that I have a ton of flaws and everything, but I'm not saying this to make myself feel better or to scrutinize him or put him down, but he acts like he has all his shit together, like he's holier than thou and shit like that, when he's not. He has his own problems. He has his own blindsidedness that he needs to look at and work through. And I think until he works through that, I don't think that he's going to be ready for another relationship. I think it's just going to turn out as a learning experience again. I hope it doesn't turn out that way, because I hope he finds someone that loves him, and I hope he finds someone that he can share everything with and live out the rest of his day with and get unconditional love from. I mean, of course, I wish that would have been me, and I wish it still can be me, but I know that's not possible. I know that can't happen. And so I just wish the best for him. And I can't do anything else. I'm slowly moving on, and I don't know what triggered it today, but I just slowly crawled back into the hole that I was digging myself out of for basically seemingly no reason. And it hurts really badly. I'm just hurt because he had originally said that he was fine with being friends, and that he would never ever block me, and that even if we didn't interact for a while, we could meet each other later in life and start a friendship, or maybe even get back together again. But he said that during our last breakup, not this breakup. And it just hurts to hear him take that all back. It hurts to hear him say that he doesn't want anything to do with me at all. But I'm glad he has boundaries, and I'm glad he set them, and I respect him for that. And I accept them, but I wish I didn't have to accept them. I wish they just weren't there in the first place. So I'm just hurting. I'm sorry that I have moments in these videos where I just go silent and everything, but I'm just gathering my thoughts, and sometimes I just genuinely blank out and just have to focus on the emotion, because the emotion gets too powerful and it blocks out the thought, and I can't ignore it, so I have to give it its moment before I can think again. But it's the little things that hurt the most. It's the things that he took enjoyment from, and it's the things that he liked that hurt the most. Like one of the songs he really likes came on today, and I remembered that I liked some of his songs, so I went and found the band that he really likes, and I downloaded some songs from there. Yeah. I really don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening at all. I'm blind to everything in the future, and I'm blind to everything in this moment, and I just don't have the slightest clue what's going to happen next, so I have no idea what's happening. And he also said that thing about saying I met someone who I should have dated from the start. However, that's what he said to me the first time he met me about the other person he broke up with. He said I should have found you before I ever dated them. And I just think he hasn't learned that you need to work up to the amount of intensity that he loves instead of jumping right into it. I mean, I learned to love the way he loved me, and I learned to adjust to it, but I only learned to adjust to it the moment we broke up. And that's why it's devastating. It's because I know we 50-50 probably would have worked out if we had stayed together, because I know he would have probably never forgiven me for what I did. However, I think he would have accepted what I did and saw that I was improving and trying my best from it. And I think he would have been able to put it behind him and not forgive me for it, but see that I was working harder and be okay with that. And I don't need him to forgive me. I just would have wanted him to see that I was trying and that I was... And I am still trying. I'm not trying. And I'm trying for myself and anybody else that might find me along the way, so that I can be the best possible person that I can to that person. And I should have known that this is what was gonna happen. I should have had my foresight, like always, because I've gone through so many situations like this before, not romantically, but friendship-wise and other shit-wise, and not on the subject of betrayal, but on other types of things, like people stealing stuff from me and other shit like that. Like, I should have known the feeling that I was feeling that was holding me back from loving him wasn't the fact that it was my subconscious holding me back, because I just thought my subconscious wasn't ready to love someone. And I think that was part of it, because it knew, and I knew, that if I ever loved someone fully, it would do irreparable damage, which it now has. But I think it was somewhere in me knowing that I was going to fuck it up like always. And I think that's why I was so hesitant to jump into it, because I was so scared that I was going to fuck it up, and that's why I was so scared to put effort into it. And I think that's why I went where I went wrong all along. I think the fear of fucking it up made me fuck it up. And I think trying not to care so much was what fucked it up, when I should have tried to care a lot, when he was so obviously caring a ton. I should have reciprocated what he was giving to me, and I should have loved him the same. And I didn't. If I could do it all over again, I would. Even if just to have the same result. Because the good moments overshadowed every single, and do overshadow every single bad moment I've had with him. They overshadow everything. I wish we didn't have to be long distance. I think that's what really fucked this up. I think being face to face would have forced me to come to my realization sooner rather than later. And I wish I just could have done that. But I know I didn't, and I know I couldn't have, because there were just things that I couldn't do at the time that I can do now that would have made that possible now. There were just restrictions and so many things I had no control over that were preventing me from going and living in the same place as him, and it just wasn't gonna work out. One of the things was college. I didn't know if I was going to be on person, and I didn't know if I thought I was going to be in person, and I didn't know there was an online option at the time. And he was offering if my mother got me an apartment to move in with me and then help me pay the rent. But if I went off to college and was dorming and everything, he would have had to pay that alone, and I didn't want him to have to shoulder that. I didn't want that to fall on him. I didn't want him to suffer that way and do that because I needed to go do something else. And I just didn't want to do that to him. And then another instance was, at the time I was having a fight with my father, and I don't think he would do this, but another thing was, I thought he might have thrown my stuff out of his house, and I have a severe attachment to all my items, and I know that's not good, but each one of them carry a memory, and each one carries an event in my life, and so they're very important to me. And losing all of them would be like losing a piece of me. Another thing that I've realized is that when you gain access to someone's life and then lose that access, you're forced to reevaluate what you have. And what I have is pathetic. It's pathetic. It really is. My situation is pathetic. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The quality of my life and the things that I've gathered up to this point are so insignificant that I pity myself. So I'm going to work on that. I'm going to try and find something to make my life have more value, have more meaning, and make it feel more full rather than having it feel so empty. I mean, one of those things is him. He's been trying to get up on the mattress this whole time to try and calm me down and help me, but I wasn't letting him. But he found his way up anyway. I know. But it's fine. It's fine. I just needed to get on here and talk. Just needed to say something and get it out rather than hold it all in. But that's where I am right now. Just a temporary relapse into despair, but that's the process of healing. Going backwards and then going forwards again. But we'll see. Bye for now.